So today I'm going to review this IP camera tester, and it does a lot more than that. It does a lot of stuff. It's quite incredible. This is a higher end unit, which is good for professionals, and this has been sent to me by RSRTENG for purpose of review at no cost. The model number, as video description will probably say, X9-MOVTADHS Pro. Okay, so let's have a bit of a look at this. It does so much stuff, it's going to take a while to go through this video. I may even break this video up into two pieces, but we'll see how we go as far as timing, but it could be quite a long video. Be prepared for that. This company has also given me a discount code. That's down below in the description as well. So if you want to get this for a cheaper price, go to the description, go to the link to the website, and use my discount code to buy it in order to get a better deal. Okay? So here's like a basic feature list of the thing. It does so much. I'm not going to read it all through to you, but have a freeze frame, stop the video for a second, have a read of it yourself if you want to see this list. But it gives you an idea of what it can do. It can do incredible amount of stuff. 8 megapixel 4K, it's got an 8-inch screen, it's got on-5 support and that sort of stuff, PTZ, does PoE, also does high power PoE, so it can do like 90 watts apparently, so it can do high powered cameras and actually run those. 4 channels of rapid on-5 apparently, loop tests, cable tests, 4K 60 frames, HDMI input and output, a lot of fast charging, 3.5 hours, works for 13 hours, so therefore you can use it for an entire day. Cable testers and stuff like that, distance to fault, I think it's got that in there too. It does so much stuff, so I'm going to cover what I can in this video, but like I said, it's going to be a long one. So let's open the box up. That's enough waffling. So in here we have, so we've got a cable tracer device here. So when you're doing diagnostics, you want to try and cable trace, you want to find out where the cable goes. Sometimes it's not obvious. Generating signal on this and you trace it with this. So you've got a big bundle of cables, you can try and figure out which cable is actually the one which this is connected to if you try and troubleshoot something. So got some buttons on there. You have some multimeter cables, multimeter leads, PVC leads, just standard leads, nothing special about those, just generic ones. Apparently Cat 3, but because this does have a multimeter function on it as well, I can definitely test all those functions really well. Got a BNC to clip lead. BNC cable in there, 3.5mm to clip lead, some other one here because it does supporting cables for all the various connections you've got to do. With a charger, DC barrel jack type, carrying straps and things like that, and you also have these adapters for the optical system. If you use optical stuff, then these you probably need as well. I don't have any optical experience or any optical equipment, so I can't test that part of it, unfortunately. I might maybe do some level tests, maybe because it does have an input option, but I can't go into too much detail on the optical stuff, unfortunately. Right, let's have a look at the bag. So we'll open the back pouch up first. So here we've got a manual, we've got these little pouches for storing things in. So the cables and stuff we've got, we can put all those in here. We can put those pouches, so we can carry all the cabling around and the charger and what have you, all neatly tucked in there. And there's a fairly decent sized pocket there, so that's good. And so we have a proper printed manual. The whole thing is English, right? So this is an idea of how much this thing can do and the support and its functionality. It's incredible. It can do so much. So I already have a IP camera tester, which I reviewed a couple of years ago now probably. This can do far more than that. But that's a big read. So I should probably sit down and read this. But right now I'm going to muddle my way through and see how we go. And if I need to, I can refer to the manual. Front pouch, and here's the actual unit. A nice padded pouch in there to protect it. Also got a front pocket. So anything in the front pocket. I suppose that's where I could put the manual, isn't it? I could put the manual in that front pocket. And there it is. So we've got a plastic cover over the front to protect the screen. Really nice touch. 8-inch screen. Has a protector on it, which I'm going to leave on there. Anyway, so there's the multimeter ports. Basic buttons here. It is touch screen as well. I haven't even powered this up yet. I mean, this is basically my first proper look at it. On the back here, we've got loads of ports on the back. So VLS, got 12 volt there, 12 volt output, up to 3 amps, PSC in, LAN, OPM, another optical port, so video in and out, AHD, CBI, TVI, HDMI in, RS485, got an indicator there for some reason, I don't know what that's for, we'll find out maybe, XSDI in, HD, SDI in, TDR, bottom side we've got DC 15 volts in, so it's 15 volt charger, DC 24 volt 2 amps out, DC 5V out, audio in and out, there's a microphone there, UTP, TDR, SD card slot which has a card in it, 8GB card it comes with, and a HD output. On the very back we've got a stylus for using the touchscreen. Nice little storage compartment for it. We've got a stand for the back there to hold it up, and here we have a battery compartment. Trying to do it one-handed, doesn't work. Okay, I need to pop the battery out, I think. Okay, so there's a battery pack, 11.1 volts, 12.16 volt charging voltage. It's just a standard lithium-ion battery. I wonder what cells in there. It's probably flat pack cells. And there's the terminals on the side there, and there's the connections there. So we just basically shove that back in again. Tuck it in like that. That now has power. Right, let's try powering this thing up for the first time and see what happens. There we go. RSRTENG-D. I'll get you to go to the website using the link down below. Do you go and check these things out? They do a huge amount of stuff. They've got such a diverse array of these camera testers. It's quite incredible really. They've got loads of them. Literally dozens of different testers they've got. You know, different price points and different feature sets and stuff like that. So just because I'm showing you this higher end one doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and have a look, because they do have cheaper options as well. This does a lot, and you may not need all this functionality that this one has, but certainly go and check out the website using the link I've got down below, using the discount code I've got down below. Now, as this is the first time I've seen this, as it is the first time you've seen this, I don't know how to use this yet. One thing I've noticed, the date's wrong, so let's go to settings and see if we can change the date time without any kind of instruction. Automatically determines date time. Yeah, well, I don't have it on my network yet, so maybe I should put it on my network and I'll come back. Okay, so I put it on my network, automatically got the date and time. This is now correct. So, one problem solved. I think we'll do the settings first, go through that configuration stuff, and then we'll look at the actual functionality of the unit. We'll do that. You've got IP settings here, and you can set up your network configuration for this. I will need to set this up when I do the camera testing. I will plug this into my network and hook it into my cameras, because I do have IP cameras on my network, so I should be able to just plug it in with the cable and test it from my bench here. So I will set that up afterwards. I'm not going to go to the wireless LAN. That's basically the Wi-Fi setting stuff. You choose the Wi-Fi network and put your password in, connect to it. Language and input, lots of languages options. Obviously English is preset. Date time, which we already looked at before, automatic. Volume is set to loud. Display brightness, let's actually bring this up very slightly. SD card, internal and external. It's not set to use the external one for whatever reason. I don't know what the story is with those yet. FTP server. Don't know what the story is with that yet. Shortcut menu. Have you got preferences for things you use frequently? You can choose which ones you want to set up. Test to play. Don't know what this is for yet. PDZ address scanning. Okay. Gives you a warning. I'll turn it above again for now. More settings. HDMI output is not connected to anything, so leave that as it is. Power off hibernation, 2 hours, so automatically turn off after 2 hours. Factory reset, open source licensing, and version information. So there's your version, which you may be interested to know when you're looking at your unit or comparing things. Okay, so that's settings, alright? Basic settings stuff. Now, like most things, when you get them, you should always check for an update. So an update's on the front screen there. So let's tap that, do that, and see if anything comes up. Online updates. It seems there's a lot of stuff. Lots of different test tools. And download them and add them in. Oh, that's nice. And there's also updates as well. So your installs and updates. So your options which aren't currently installed. And then your updates for things which are there. Online users 37, download 6. Online users. So I think I might just go through and do all these updates before I carry on. Now, one thing I was going to show you, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the angle I'm at, that A just here is getting cut off very slightly by the bezel. So the bezel, it overhangs the screen just very slightly. Looks like I haven't quite got the dimensions just right there, which is actually cutting off the very edge of the screen. Maybe let's just bring the text in very slightly on the screen display, but it's just a minor thing. I'll show you one update. I'll do one, okay? So here to go. I'm doing the update. It's going to download it. Of course, I'll choose a long one. Okay, it wants to confirm that you want to install it right now, because if you've been using it, you've got saved information. Maybe you want to not lose that. So, yes, I want to install it. Done. Okay, easy as that. I'm actually wondering if this is like a status display for showing how many people are actively using their website to do these system updates right now. Because it is jumping up and down, these numbers. They are changing. So it's like, is that current number of downloads right now? Because maybe when it gets heavy loaded, it will slow down or something. Maybe. I don't know. So I've been doing these downloads, you know, the installations and updates, everything. I've got 2 left here. These 2 both failed. I think it's because it's got too busy. I've got, just now there's over 90 users online with about 40 downloads going at once, and it was getting really slow, so I think it's timing out. So I might just come back and do those ones later on. So let's look at app management. Okay, here we go. This is where the apps are. So you can uninstall apps and open them from in here. So it lists all the apps in here. So I've installed a whole bunch of them as well that were in that list before. So I've added a bunch of things in there which weren't there before. So with that, loads of options. You've got Firefox in there as well for browsing the internet on it. Wi-Fi Analyzer is one of the things I actually want to look at, and cable length. That's also going to be a good one. So that's those. Right. So I think that's the update thing done. Built-in manual. So if you need help trying to figure something out, how to set stuff up, that's nice. Do a PoE test. Okay, well, this has got a built-in manual, so that's nice. Tells you how to do various testing, how to configure it all, different tools. That's cool. So my apps, IVMS, cool. That's for Hikvision stuff. And there's more over here. So some of these I just installed. Like I know I installed, actually all of those I installed. So this quotation tool thing. What's that? Okay, so if you're doing installation work, you can use this to generate quotes, which is basically what it says, isn't it? Quotation tool, so you can list all the things which would be applicable to it and get a price at the end. That's nice. Okay, well, this is what I want to look at, is this one here. Oh. Let's try that again. There we go, that's better. Now I don't know how this is going to go for finding cameras on my wireless network. So I've just gone into the app, set up my home as my network to connect to my main DVR, and it's picked up a bunch of my cameras. I've got one camera missing. I've got one of my cameras has gone offline. So this is also showing there's one camera missing, which is interesting. I'm not getting any streams. Now this could be because of my firewalling. I do have a firewall installed, and because I'm going through Wi-Fi, it'll be passing through the firewall to get to the network. So it could be because of the firewall, it's stopping it from seeing the stream. So I might need to go and look at that. We'll have to figure that part out later on. It can see the NVR, it just can't see the camera streams, and that's probably because of my network configuration. So we'll skip that part for now. Let's see what tools are in here. Office data monitor. What's this doing? Okay, probably got, because I've got nothing going on there. Calculator, flashlight, drawing notes. Guess it's some kind of notes app. Video computing tool. So what's this thing doing, I wonder? Oh, it's just looking at how much data it's going to use and its lens area. Okay, so it can tell you how much capture it's going to get. Okay, that could be useful. DMM. Okay, this is one I'm going to be testing thoroughly. So I've got DC volts, AC volts, DC amps, AC amps, resistance buzzer, so continuity tester, diode and capacitance. Okay, even tells you which ports to use for different modes. Let's try amps. Yep, tells you to change to that one. Well, kind of. In the milliamps it does that. Manual ranges, there we go. Let's do... I just want to see if it tells when to change to the other port. No. Interesting. Okay. Now it's done it. Interesting. I wonder whether it's... Okay, let's try to change it there. And there. Okay, right, well, yeah, it does do it. Let's get a little graphing thing going over here too. DC volts. Let's hook up these probes and see how accurate it is, just very briefly. I'm going to chuck this on my calibrators and my standards and see how this actually goes. Actually, before I do that, let's just do a quick continuity buzzer using the supplied probes. Always like to see how quick the buzzer is with supplied probes, and then we'll hook it up to the DMM tester from Ian Scott Johnston. See what its response times are actually like, if these seem reasonable. The scale is interesting. Okay, I think there's a bit of residue on these. Let's give this a wipe. This is often a thing. Alright. Yeah, it's responding better now. It's not latched though. Okay, let me get the tester out and see what this does. So I've got the continuity tester out. Let's turn it on. And let's see how quick it is. Okay. 2.4 milliseconds seems about right for that one. That's not bad. It's quicker than some other meters I've actually tested. That's pretty good. It's going to hook up Ian Johnston's PDVS2 Mini here. But immediately I've got one little problem here. Non-standard spacings. Obviously it's not really meant for this kind of thing really anyway. It's meant for convenience features, but spacings don't match. It should really be 19mm apart, but then you would lose most of that panel. I can't understand why they've done it. A little bit inconvenient. I have to change cables. So now I've got the PDVS2 hooked up, setting 0 volts. Let's do 1 volt. Bang on. That's nice. Let's do 100 millivolts. Bang on. That's actually really good. I was not expecting that. Okay, 2 volts. 2. So it's got a 10 volt range. 4 volts. Very slightly down there. 5. Slightly down. That just rescaled. So it's got a 10 volt scale here on the needle. What's the range actually set to? It's also got a list of readings here. You can see this just over here. It shows all the last readings ahead, and it's also got graphing too. That's really nice. 6. So what I'm wondering about is what this thing actually ranges at. So at 6, is it going to be a 6,000 count? Because I mean it's got a 10 here. So it just changed then. Was that 7 volt? 6.6, 6.7, so 66, yeah, 6,600 count. It's 500. So I'll do like 655 there. I've got 654. It's only slightly down. That's actually pretty good. 656. I also want to sneak up to that number. 66. And bring up a little bit like this. Yep, there we go. So it's a 6,600 count, which is a little bit of an unusual number, but okay. That's fine, as long as you know what it is. Which is surprising it says 210 on here when it's a 6,600 count. Yeah, that's fine, I suppose, as long as you know what to expect. So let's do 7 volts, and we're slightly down there, really close, basically bang on. And 10 volts there, which is as high as this can go. And that's basically bang on. That's actually right. I like the graphing, and in fact it's got the logging in here as well. The multimeter is surprisingly functional. That's good. I'll do some more thorough testing on this as well. When I stick on my calibrator, stick on my standards, that sort of stuff, and we'll check everything. We'll check every single function and see how accurate every single function is, and how well they work, and what the tolerances are, and the limits of the capabilities are. Alright, so multimeter functions, something I can test really easily. I've got the gear for that. We'll come back to that later on and do some more of that. But this is a good overview of it. Seems to work quite nicely. So the next thing is 12 volt load detection. I'll just tap on it just now to have a look. So let's go in there. So I've got the DC power plugged in the bottom here. Just there, I've got the DC plug in. Wasn't really worried about the battery getting too flat. I just thought I'd plug it in because I don't know how long this review is going to take, so I thought I'd just have it powered up the whole time. And this is showing me the 12 volt power coming in was actually 15 volt coming in, and is actually recognising that. Now what it's also got here is a connection diagram thing, so let's have a look at that. And it shows the plug pack going in, also power coming out to run a camera. So you can plug a 12 volt camera into the top output there, and I think it'll actually show you how much power it's drawing, because there's a red line there showing the power in, and we've got this little green line across the bottom here. So I think green line representative of current, because you've got red for voltage, green for current, and there's must be a blue line there somewhere too, which is also at the bottom. Let me plug something in to test that. So I've got this S-cam here, but it's sitting around for a while. I don't know how good this camera is. Let's plug that into power there, using a cable to supply with it. This will plug into here, and that will power the camera. I should get an Ethernet cable as well and actually plug this into the thing so we can see the camera. So what I'm expecting to see is the current go up. We are seeing a slight increase in current there, though we can see it there. It's pretty subtle. This camera's not using much power at all. I'll make it go dark. Does it make it? Here we go. So now the infrared lighting's turned on because I've made it go dark. So that's working there. It's not using much power at all. What's it rated to? 1 amp max, I think. Yeah. Power supply 12 volt 1 amp. Doesn't say what its actual current usage is. That's what we're getting there. So it's less than 1 amp, because that's the 1 amp line just there. So it's probably 300 milliamps, maybe less than that, 250 possibly. Not much power at all. We'll look at this other function here: media player, RTSP player, audio recorder, audio player, video player, and VLC. It's got VLC. It's nice. So those could be useful for things. We've got fibre and cable test. Now I don't have fibre optic. We've got RJ45 TDR test. OPM. What's OPM? Optical power meter. So 850. Now I'm guessing that's the port on the top. OPM is the one in the middle here. This little one in the middle there. Let's uncover this port and we should see something change. It's now seeing light on that port. So if you're using any of these wavelengths, you can see what these are. So 850 is infrared basically. Actually I could demonstrate that. Let me get a remote control. That remote may not work. I've got a couple of remotes here. Some work, some don't. This one doesn't appear to be working. It's got this little symbol over here. What's that do? Makes sound. I'll cover it up. What happens? Okay, so it confirms it's getting a signal. Right. Well, let's put the remote control on it and see what comes up. Turn it back off. There you go. So that can see the remote control just fine. If I get it lined up, you can see the numbers coming up from the remote control. So I can see the remote. Obviously this is just a really rudimentary test to prove it actually works. That is actually a functional thing you can use. That's really nice. So if you're doing fibre testing or anything like that, or anything that uses these wavelengths, then this is going to be really useful for you too. Then don't forget, it also came with these adapters. Bayonet fitting, this one. Also kinds of different standards for optical stuff, and we've got this. Is that a Toslink? Is it? Is that a Toslink connector of some kind? So you've got obviously different wavelengths you can choose. Hold data, so you can choose it to hold. So I guess that's a peak hold or something. Difference, so you can do a reference point. Or you can choose milliwatts or dBm. And adjust, which looks like a calibration reference. If you've got a calibration source, you can use that to adjust it and calibrate it, so you got a known reference point. That's all very nice. So VFL, visible light source, 10 milliwatt VFL. I don't know where that comes from. Is it this other port over here? Let me see if I see anything on my finger. I'll take the cover off. Steady mode. Yep, there we go. It's on my finger just there. You see that? Lighting up. Turn it back off again. There we go. So yep, it's got a laser built in for obviously testing cables and fibres. And you've got a connection diagram. And it's 650 nanometers, so yeah, obviously visible red. Cable tester. Let's look at this. So we can test cables. Oh, I have a cable here. The meter and a remote kit. Maybe it's this piece, because that's got a connector on the end of it. Maybe this is a remote kit. Let's plug that in. Test port connection, display cable diagrams. Okay. Test port connections. Okay, UTP scan port, which I think is on the bottom. Yes, there it is there. Plug that in there. Now I don't have a battery in this. I think I need to put batteries in it. Okay, batteries are installed. Let's try. I think I might need to figure out how to use this. Okay, so I'm sort of slowly figuring this out, I think. So without the cable connected to anything, only plugged into the bottom of the unit, we're seeing the length of the cable is 1.8 meters across each of these wires. So that will give us a distance default. So as far as getting the wiring connections done, I'm not sure. I plug it into the bottom of this, and it shows as a short across all of them. So it shows obviously the cables are intact. So I suppose that's one thing. But as far as getting the crossover stuff done, I don't know how to do this, but So let's look at the TDR test next. I've plugged the cable in already. It's got link 1 and link 2. It uses the top ports, not the bottom ports. In port number 1, I've got just a cable, nothing on it, just this grey cable, nothing on the other end, and it's coming at 1.6 meters, which is interesting because the other test said it was 1.8 meters. Slight discrepancy there, and it's all showing each pair is fully open. Now the other port, which is port number 2, link 2 is called it, port 2 here. This is hooked up to my network. It's showing us 1, 2, 3, 6 are connected up and online, and the other 2 cables are open circuit and they're 2.4 meters long apparently. That sounds about right, probably. Those go to a switch. That seems like it's okay. And we've got advanced test. So it's telling us impedance as 100 ohms on those lines as well. Well, that'll work. So now we've got the cable tracer here. Let's look at this one. Hooked up the cable back to the bottom port down here. I've got this hooked up and powered up. Yeah. So it's doing the same display as the other screen did here with the cable lengths. Showing 1.8 meters again. I plugged it in, it shorts it out. I don't know what this is doing. It's just randomly doing stuff. I don't know that yet. But this is definitely tracing the cable. And that's sensitivity wheel. So that works. So I just figured out there's a second port on here. I was looking at this one on the bottom. There's one here too. This one shorts the cables out. This one doesn't. So you can see here I've got the cable plugged into the port still on the bottom. Right, so you can see it's saying 0 meters. Let's turn this thing on. So let me turn it on. Turn it on, then plug the cable in. Okay, and now it's showing. Now it's showing okay. There's all the cable links. Yes, that's the cable tester. So if I push the button on here as well, the RJ45 status thing, I get these 2 lights. You can't really see it too well because of my lighting. There you go. So I've got direct and 1 gigabit on this cable. Now I know how to use it. You'll get there eventually. So I've got TDR version 3 apparently. I'm probably in the wrong port. TDR port is that one. Short detection. Let's plug this in the bottom here because this does short it. So let's do a short detection. That's what I detected. Cool. Do a net test. I don't have to work with it shorted. There you go. All saying short at 2 meters. Show what? Oh, okay. That's choosing. Oh look, there's a bit of Chinese there still. They missed a bit in the translation. BNC Attenuation. BNCs, right. So let's plug in a pair of BNCs in the top here, looping out, back in again, and it gives an attenuation of 0 dB, which is correct. It's got a chart here as well. Lighting's drowning this out slightly because it's grey, but it gives you a length and approximate attenuation per length. It's got a connection diagram, didn't look at that, but there we go. Adjustment, obviously from some kind of calibration or something, is it? I don't know. Reset. So I've actually got some attenuators. Let me put an attenuator in line. So I've hooked up my attenuator here, which is adjustable up to 60 decibels in 1 decibel steps basically. So I've basically nulled it. I put it in series. I told it to adjust, which sets it to 0 dB. And if I push in 1, we should get -1. Yeah, we're close to it. Okay, let's do 2. Yep. 4. Yep. 8. Yep. 10. Yeah, it's slightly off there. There's 10. Also slightly off. Okay, another 10 there. Also slightly off. 16 dB is slightly off as well. It looks like it's having trouble reading that one. Interesting. So the attenuation here is only showing us these levels, so I'm actually going way outside what you should expect to see. So if you look at the screen here for examples of lengths and attenuation, this is on 75 ohm system, this is a 50 ohm attenuator, so it's a little bit off. Up to 500 meters, only like 2.3 decibels. Yeah, I think it's fine. So here we've got cable length as well. It's like another cable length test. There's multiple cable length tests in this thing. I don't know why there's so many different variants. This is set for 6E. Always different configurations in here. Okay, well, Cat 5E. Let's try that one. And it's showing 1.8 meters across all of them. And open circuit, because I've got the other end not plugged into anything. Let's plug it into this again. We should short it. And let's do a length test again. And it will show short. That's fine. Link monitor. I don't know what this does yet. Okay, so you can monitor the network. Let's plug that in. There we go, it's on the network showing gigabit. And it's doing testing. And it's monitoring the frames and stuff. It must be useful if you're doing Ethernet testing. Making sure the network seems to be working correctly, if there's any issues. Tells you the frame sizes. That could be useful. The Wi-Fi Analyzer, which is one of the reasons I actually wanted this unit, because then you can analyse Wi-Fi networks near you. Also use this mainly for IP cameras which are using wireless transmission, so you got wireless cameras, and you'd want to use that for that, to make sure that you're allocating the camera and your wireless networks to be in a spot where there's not too much crowding. Wi-Fi is a very busy place. Can be, especially if you're in a town or city or something, you know, it could be very, very busy. So this is what we've got here. It's just running automatically right now. I've already opened it up just now, and I can see some overlapping networks going on here. Lots of weaker ones. This is one of mine. We've got 5 gigahertz as well. Let's see what 5 gigahertz is. We've got a setting up here. Let's tap on settings. Combined. I'm not sure what that does. Auto on Wi-Fi. Exit app Wi-Fi off. So when you close it, it turns off Wi-Fi. Available channel. Okay, so this is set to the United States right now. What country's down here? NZ. There we go. New Zealand channels. Let's see if that changes anything. Oh, okay, right. It's showing bands. That's why. So it's got 36 to 64 here, which is that one there. And I've got that one there. That's why I couldn't see it. Okay, I'm just using it wrong. This is when I probably need to silence because it's a small button. Okay, that's fine. So that's working alright. So we've done all that, and we haven't even looked at IP cameras yet. Like I said, this thing does so much. It's a really universal tool. So I've got Net Tool. What's this do? So I've got my LAN plugged in. So no connection, full duplex, auto detected, LAN info, nothing. LAN 2, no connection. Well, I'm pretty sure I'm plugged in. I'll plug it in again. Don't know. Anyway, settings, basic network settings. It's picked it up from DHCP, so that's fine. Oh wow, okay, it just keeps on going. Network test. Start. There we go. So it's pinging the network, figuring out what's actually on the network and what's there. IP discovery. Okay, so it'll find out everything that's on the network. IP scan, ping responder, tracer, PPOE, DHCP server, socket tool. What's that? Okay, it's looking for MAC. Okay, so you can find a certain MAC address on the network. Right, that's what that's doing. and network test, which we showed just now. And there's more. Link tool, so you can do port flashing on devices, cable test again, TDR, power management V2. Okay, this is all the PoE stuff, so you can see what power is actually being used. I still have this camera plugged into that port on the top, which is this one here, which says it's drawing 0.8 watts. It just keeps on going and going and going. Cable tester again. Which one's this like? That's the same as that one there. BNC Attenuation twisted pair consumption tool. Network calculator. Does that mean it works out the masks and stuff like that? Yeah, okay, it does. Okay. And the wireless tool, which we looked at just now. Because that's the same thing, there's a different way of getting to it. Yes, okay. It just keeps on going. Right, let's do the IP camera test and we'll look at this one after. So these are the options we've got in here. Network states. Multiple previews. What have we got here? Oh, you can see my NAS, that's interesting. Why can't I see my NAS? That's curious. So I've been getting this coming up saying, you know, I want to choose channels, whatever it may be. But I'm getting username password error. I probably got my password wrong, or my username wrong, or something. I don't remember what they are. Yeah, with this thing you can do up to 4 views on that one. Did 9 views on this one. There we go. So you can choose which cameras you want to mess with, I suppose. But so you can actually view all of your cameras at once. If I could get my password right, I could do it. So let's some of these test tools. DH is one of the ones I installed, so I'll look at that. Hikvision, and that's found a bunch of my cameras. Not all of them, because not all of my cameras are Hikvision cameras, so it hasn't found them all. That is at least recognising them. Let's just go into one of them. This one here. There we go. That's working. So that's all fine. It can actually work on those cameras. I'm sure I can change all these different settings and stuff like that. Change the time and reboot the camera and all sorts of things. Change the view. So that's working alright. Not on 5th. So it's looking for other stuff. See if we can go to a specific camera. 4-channel decode. Yeah, well. Yeah, I haven't got that configured, so it's not going to do much right now, but yes, obviously you can look at multiple cameras. IP discovery, which is probably the same thing we did in the other thing. PoE. Guess that means we can turn it on and off. On the output there. Tells us what voltage as well. Okay, power management. That's the same thing we saw before. PoE detection. So this will tell you if you've got PoE on that system using that particular port there. I don't have PoE in this particular network, so you won't be able to see it on that one. Virtual IPC. Now one thing this can do with these IP camera stuff, I haven't mentioned it yet, is it supports up to 8K cameras. 8K! I don't have any cameras that high. The highest I've got is 4K. 8K is pretty impressive really. 8K cameras, I mean, pretty high resolution on that. That will take some storage space up, won't it? So I'm not quite sure what this particular mode is actually doing. IPC test. Okay, so you plug a camera. Okay, it's making noises. Right. So this you can choose different cameras, and because I don't remember the password, I'm in trouble getting into any of these things. I've forgotten what they are again. But it gives you information about 12-volt output and the PoE output, whether it's active or not. You can choose the camera you want to work with, and you can do setting changes like that. So this is really good if you want to test a particular camera out. So let me get a camera, plug it in, and we'll try and do something sensible, hopefully. So I've just hooked up a old camera which I've got sitting on the side here. It's actually got a broken mount. It's actually a really good camera, it worked really well, but had issues with water getting to the front, and then the mount broke as well. It does work though. So I've hooked this up to the PoE using an Ethernet cable. It's a PoE cable, and I've got it turned on, and you can see it's outputting power there. Right, it's doing 6 watts right now, it's sitting there idle. So let me see if I can find that camera hooked up to port 2. It's showing it here, it's showing a PoE detection, it's showing gigabit. That's all working there. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to actually connect to the damn thing. So I went to IP discovery and it's found number 208. That sounds about right. Let's see if I can actually connect to it. Network error, no connection. Okay, connected to it. We're there. Hello. Brilliant. So that is working there. That's a non-on-fifth camera. So that's what I saved that one as. This 3072 by 2048 resolution on H.264 there. Got the other settings in here. And what else can we do here? So we know we can connect with these credentials here. So let me see if I can get there any other way. So I tried just now on the HIC app because there's a Hikvision camera, and if I do a refresh over here, it comes up. That is there. Play it again. And that's under on-fifth. Not quite sure why it's logged in, but I'm not seeing any picture. Refresh. Yeah, no network connection apparently, but it's definitely there. Don't know why I can't see it through this one, which is weird, because it was seeing it through the other one. You can see it here. Can't do a play. Let me check the password. Yep, password's correct. It's not showing up under on-fifth, it's showing up as a non-on-fifth camera, so I'm guessing maybe there's something in their configuration. Let's go into non-on-fifth. There's that one we did before, which is, yeah, which shows it, so I'm not surprised by that. I was going to see if this can find it or not. Because I mean, it is powering it, it's plugged into its port, but it seems that it cannot actually find it. So this camera I've got here also has a coaxial output on it, so BNC connection. Hook this up and see if we can actually look at it through the coaxial system as well. Video input is on that one there. Okay, let's try Auto HD. PoE is still powered up, still putting power out, so there should be something here hopefully. There we go, camera's still there. So that's the coaxial input as well, working just fine. Apparently the coaxial, I've got some notes here, supports up to 4K 8 megapixel over that system. So that's for doing testing on those high resolution cameras. This comes up as standard definition. It's not actually a standard definition camera. Maybe that's what's coming out of this one. I don't know what this camera actually outputs on that system. I don't use that myself normally. So it's not looking wonderful either actually. The actual camera itself is not looking great. Level tests, let's look at this. What does this do? Oh, there we go. It's testing the actual signal levels from the camera and it says they're all good. So that's a nice little test to make sure your signals are actually okay from the camera. If you've got a long cable or something like that, it could be weak or maybe damaged or something like that. So that's looking good. That's a nice test. Never seen that before. So, okay, that's the Auto HD version. Also got the level meter, which is what it just showed us. I'm not quite sure about which one of these we should be using. Let's try CVBS. What does that one do? Same deal. Now the very first one I did, which is the Auto HD, it was jittering a little bit. I can see some jittering in the picture, and now it's not doing that. That's actually looking a lot better. I don't know if it's got any PTZ controls on it actually. I mind you, going through coaxial, so I can't control it for that anyway. Let's hook up the RS485. It does have a connection on here, but yeah, I'm not going to worry about that right now. TVI. What does this one come up with? So I'm going to try them all, see what comes up. Yep, that's there, and that's got a jitter on the screen. So the SD PAL doesn't work so well as the other one. The CVBS was definitely stronger. Better suited to this camera at least. So not that one. AHD. Same deal, SD PAL, it's got some jitter on it. I think it's a camera thing, I don't think it's this. SDI, no level, okay. HDMI I don't have hooked up anyway. So okay, so we've done analog cameras, done IP camera. It all seems to work as it should. Though obviously the focus of this thing is to be a major test tool for general network maintenance and repair and diagnostics work. And it seems to be doing that just fine. Let's go and more thoroughly test out this multimeter function. Alright, so let's do some capacitance testing. So tools, DMM, got leads hooked up already. We want to do capacitance. Got my lead hooked up here, let's plug this in this. It should be a 200 picofarad. Can't read it. Okay, let's do 1 nanofarad. Yeah, not great. Okay, let's do 20 nanofarads. Here we go, I can see that one. So 20 nanofarads doable. and 1 microfarad. That's fine. It's jumping around a lot though, which is the interesting part there. Microfarad's the sort of thing you probably want to be measuring anyway when you're doing capacitor testing. These smaller values, less likely to be used on something like this because you're probably measuring power supplies and checking power supplies, things like that. So microfarad ranges are likely what we're going to be using anyway. Okay, it's just a shame we couldn't do these lower ones. Usually, you know, 20 nanofarad should be better than that really, but it's obviously picking up some noise. Oh, it's behaving there now, barely. Let's try this one again. Back to 1 nanofarad. It can kind of see it, but there's a lot of noise. Yeah, I mean, it'll give you an idea, won't it? Right, so diode test function. Does it beep? It does beep, which is nice. Still standard silicon diode across there. There you go, 0.6. No beep though. No beep at 0.6. Oh, I think I would prefer to have that beep at 0.6. Nothing there. Normally you'd want a beep then, to, you know, just like a little short bip to confirm it works, which is what a lot of multimeters actually do. Anyway, it seems fast enough. It's alright. But a little beep to confirm it would have been nice, but the beep on short's good enough. Now let's see what the actual voltage is of the diode test mode. So the voltage coming out will affect what kinds of diodes you can test. If you want to test LEDs, for example, if the voltage is too low, you won't be able to measure them, or won't be able to light the LED up, that sort of stuff. So stickers on here, what we're getting. 3.1 volts. That's not too bad. I'll do most LEDs. Just about all of them, really. So that should be fine. Right, now to do these other tests in more detail, we're going to hop over to the calibrator over there. So, to the calibrator. So here we are at the calibrator. Let's chuck some power into it and see what's actually happening. We'll turn the output on. Should be seeing 0. 100 millivolts. There we go. We are getting that. It's the 1 volt. Bang on. We kind of saw that anyway with the other tests we did on the bench there. 10 volts. Yep. Now I don't know what the limit was on this thing for voltage. I guess we'll go up carefully. 100 volts. There you go. It's indicating red and it's reading 100 volts. 2 counts down at 100 volts, which isn't too bad. Let me just lower this down. Change the 1000 volt range. So I'll bring it up slowly. I'm not quite sure what the limit is supposed to be. 150. Still 2 counts down. 200. Only 1 count down there. 240. I mean, it's got a 1000 volt marking over there, but I don't know if it was really going to do it. Yeah, 400. 8 counts high. 500. That's 1 volt high there. 600. It's surviving so far. I'm not sure when I push it much further than that. Practically, are you going to measure higher than this anyway? Not likely, no. So I think I'm going to call that a day and not risk it, because I'm not quite sure what the limits of this actually was supposed to be. Don't think it was a 6,000 count meter, and I'm at the 6,000 count limit now. So I'm going to call that on a day there on the DC, okay? And we'll switch over to AC volts. What I do find interesting is that it says AC volts with a U, right? So volts is a U, not a V. Not quite sure about that symbol. 100 millivolts to start off with. So we have 4 counts down there, and that's at 1 kilohertz. Let's go down to a lower frequency. Go 100 hertz. 100 hertz is the same. Okay, let's try 10 kilohertz. I'm not quite sure what the measurement limits are of this thing. 10 kilohertz is nowhere near it. Can't do that. So let's bring it down to say 5. No, it's off by a bit there. 2 kilohertz is reasonable. So I'm not quite sure what the exact limit is, but 3 kilohertz is also reasonable, but it's a bit out there. Okay, let's go back to 1 kilohertz. So 1 volt. That's down a bit there as well. 10 volts. Yeah, it's definitely reading low on AC. Go down to 100 hertz again, because that's a reasonable frequency to be measuring, and it's exactly the same. 1 kilohertz and 100 hertz, no difference, so that's not an issue. Okay, let's do high voltage AC again. Let's do 100 volts AC, and here we go, it's still reading low again. So I'm going to go a bit higher on this. So 200 volts. Yeah, it's measuring quite low there actually. I mean, it's probably fine. I mean, it's still going to be reasonable enough. 500. Yeah. 600, that's as high as I'm going to go on it. Well, it's like 3 volts down there, 600 volts. The AC doesn't seem anywhere near as accurate as the DC. Let's check for AC current and then DC current, and then we'll check resistance after that. So now I've changed over to AC current. It's prompted me for the milliamp jack. I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the amps jack. I'm going to see if it can sense it or not. So I'm using 1 milliamp into the amps jack. Nothing showing up yet. 10 milliamps. I want to see if it also detects it or not. 10 milliamps. 100 milliamps. 1 amp. No, it's not auto detecting. So what I will do is go back down to 100. Range. I did this before, didn't I? So that changed over then, and then changed back. Now it's on the correct jack. So I think there is a firmware bug here. So it defaults to 10 amps, but it's not actually in the 10 amp range. You saw that on that range scale here. It was already that one selected, but it wasn't actually on that range. So now we're on the correct one. Now we're doing 100 milliamps, and it's not there. Well, it's seeing it, but it's not accurate enough. Don't think it was still on AC. So AC does have a inherent inaccuracy anyway. It's always harder to get that right. So let's do 1 amp. And you can see that. And the highest I can do on here is 1.99. So doing 1.9 amps and I'm getting 1.8. So that's definitely a bit out there. So let's go back down to 100 milliamps and we'll go back to 0 to 10, 0 to 660, 0 to 66, 0.66. Interesting. Anyway, it's prompted to change jacks now, so we'll do that one. The output's turned off, turn it back on again. So we're set to 100 milliamps, and again that's reading low on that one as well. 10 milliamps still reading low. 1 milliamp still reading low, but at least you can see it. And all that's at 100 hertz, so it should be fine seeing those. So let's change to DC current instead. Change this to DC. And we're doing 1 milliamp, and you can see it quite well actually. DC one's looking pretty accurate. Let's do 100 microamps. You can see that, it's bang on, that's good. 10 milliamps, that's okay. $100 milliamps is looking pretty good as well. Let's change to the other socket and we'll change the ranging here. So 100 milliamps on that one, that's good. 1 amp is bang on, and 1.9 amps is also bang on, so that's looking good. Right, let's do resistance next. Well, we've got to set for 0 ohms output, and we are indeed reading 0 ohms basically there. Very slight difference. I'm not going to zero it, I'm going to leave it as exactly as it is. So this is 10.42 ohms, and we're getting 10.5, that's fine. 100.42, we're getting 100.8, close enough. 1K, reading slightly down there, about 2 ohms down, not too bad though. 10K, also slightly down. 100K, also slightly down. 1 mega ohm, also slightly down. Seeing a pattern here. 10 mega ohm, bit of stabilising time there, and then that's also slightly down. And 100 mega ohm, can't see it, 100 mega ohms out of range. Okay, that's fine, it works alright though, it's close enough. Well, I think that's enough of a review. I've covered so much stuff on this. It works really well, it's easy to use, it's straightforward. You don't really use the manual. I mean, I haven't read the manual at all for any of this stuff, and I was able to figure out most of it. There's some stuff in there which I didn't quite know how to use. If I was motivated enough at the time to do a certain task, then obviously I would go and research that and sort that out. One thing I should mention, that these two ports here are actually dual gigabit Ethernet ports, right? So you can actually run 2 networks at once on this thing. I thought I should mention that in case it wasn't obvious, but you can actually do that. The stand, I think, is... this kit's falling out. I've noticed that. This falls out a bit too much for my liking. It doesn't really get held in well enough. It's fallen out a few times. The stand is okay. but I found that when I had stuff plugged into these ports up here, it tended to overbalance a little bit, like it's stuff in this here. It wants to fall over a little bit. If you're using it normally without anything plugged in, it's probably fine. And just touching the screen's kind of okay. Kind of alright. I'm not too worried really. I think it would have been nicer if the stand was a bit bigger, but then obviously you got the battery. Maybe the way to do that would actually have a larger battery cover with the stand built into the battery cover. Maybe that's the way it would have done that. I mean, it works kind of okay. It's not too bad, but just I noticed when I had some big cables on here, it did want to fall over a little bit. So don't forget to go and check out those links down below. So don't forget to check out the links down below for this thing. The discount code is there as well in the description. Don't forget to check those out. Follow the links, use the discount code. You don't have to buy this particular unit. This is a nice unit. If you've got the money, buy this one. But they do a massive range of testers, so if you don't get this one, maybe there's something else there you might be interested in, and you could use discount code for that instead. So thanks a lot, RSRTENG. I don't know how you pronounce that name, but they sent that to me, and they, supporting the channel by sending this to me at no cost, which is brilliant. Trying to get things to review can be hard sometimes, and they generous enough to send me this high-end unit. Really appreciated that support. If you've got any questions, put them down below. Put them in the comments. There's probably things I haven't covered or haven't covered very well. It's certainly possible. It does so much that some of these things I've just glossed over. I may be able to fill in more information later on if you ask more questions, or maybe the company themselves will chime in the comments and answer questions as well. That's also possible. And like the IP camera stuff, I've kind of shown a little bit of that, but I didn't show much of that, did I? But part of the problem is that I don't want to also dox myself by showing outside cameras and that sort of stuff, so it makes it a bit harder for my own restrictions. But as I said before, this can cover up to 8K on IP cameras and up to 4K on coaxial cameras, so I can do these really modern high-end cameras. Alright, so don't forget to subscribe over there if you're interested in more reviews or electronic stuff in general. If you thought the Calibrator was cool, definitely want to subscribe. Other videos down there to watch. Don't forget to check out the links down below for the company that sent me this and the discount code, as I said before. And there's a Patreon support link over there if you want to become a Patreon supporter and help support the channel and allow me to help buy more test equipment and that sort of stuff to do repairs on and to generate more content. And if you like this video, definitely like it, give us a thumbs up, and share the video too if you think it's going to be useful for someone. Share it. By all means, share it. Sharing helps a lot. Sharing is caring. Okay, catch you later.